Okay folks, in this tutorial today I'm going to get you started on creating some simple web pages. Okay, so if you've already done this before, this might be a little underneath what maybe you've done in the past, but I'll get everybody started here. Okay, so two tools we're going to use. One is a text editor and the other is a web browser. All right, text editor is very similar to a word processor. Basic difference between a text editor and a word processor is that a text editor only works with text. Snyder actually describes this in chapter 4 of your textbook. Read up on it a little bit and find out what a text editor is if you haven't used one before. I'm gonna do some file organization here too. So this is we're working in a lesson 2.3 here. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a folder because I'm gonna have a couple files that I'm gonna use in the tutorial today. So I'm gonna create a folder. I right click on my desktop, create a new folder. I'll call this lesson 2.3. And then I'll open up that folder and I'll start putting some stuff in there. Alright, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a new, and if you look down here, here's a text document. So I right click, again how do I do that? I right click on my screen, go to new, go to select text document. Alright, now pops a text document up on the screen here. And I'll just go ahead and give it a name. So we'll try this. We'll call this one lesson 2.31. Okay. Now, one of the things that happens here, it still indicates it's a text document, but I indicated in an earlier tutorial here that one of the really fine points of the Microsoft operating system is it hides file extensions. And right away, the file extension is hidden here. So if you haven't done this already, you should only have to do this once. Go into your folder options under Tools, go to View. You got a couple of little boxes here. I don't want to hide my file extensions. Alright, see it sets that by default. I'll turn that off. We've gone over that already, but I'll do that. And when I do that, you can see that I have an extension here, and because it's a text document, by default it defaults as .txt. Alright, let me do one more thing. Well, let me try and click on it. I open it up, and boom, my text editor, my default text editor, which is Notepad, opens up, and I can begin typing simple text. Alright, I'm going to close that off, and I'm not going to save it. So it'll ask me if I want to save it. I'll say no way. Alright, so let me go in here now and I'm going to rename this file, and I can rename the entire file now, including the extension, and recognize that extensions provide file associations, and file associations tell your operating system what program to use to open up this data file. Okay, so if it's a text file and I open it up, it'll open up with my text editor, which is Notepad. I'm going to change the file extension to HTML, okay, which indicates that it'll be a web page now. And when I hit enter here, I'll get a dialog box. My dialog box will say, if you change the file name, the file may be unusable. In other words, it's going to associate it with a different application. And of course, I want to do that, so I'll say yes. And as soon as I do that, I get a different looking icon here, and it looks like something I'd open up with my web browser. In fact, if I open it now, by default, this opens with my web browser, and there's nothing in the page right now, so it's not going to show up. Okay, or nothing will show up. So, anyways, that's a little about file organization and really file extensions and turning them on and off in a Windows operating system. I'm going to close my web browser off now. Okay, I'm going to go over here, instead of double clicking on this, I'm going to right click. And I'm going to say open with, and you see I get a drop down list here, and one of my choices is going to be Notepad. Okay, so I want to open this with Notepad, and now I'm in a mode here. I'm using my text editor again, and I can start making changes to this file. Alright, so I'm going to do that, and I'm going to now reference back, and I'm in chapter 4 of the Snyder book here, and it's really, from here it's pretty straightforward on how to create HTML. I'll do a couple examples here for you, but I think it's sticky getting started with it. Okay, so let me use some tags. So it's an HTML document. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a document HTML. Okay, or open up my HTML tag, and I'll close my HTML tag. When I say close, that means that I'll go ahead and put a / and then the HTML in here. And let me just write something in there. Okay, and also I'm going to write in there is hello world. Okay, so I just want to get something out there, and it's a good way to start, by the way. Make something show up there. So I save it. Okay, I'm going to go back over to my folder here, and instead of editing this, now see I'm multitasking because I have both these guys open. I have my notepad open, and then I can also go over here to my folder, and I'll open up this file now that I've saved it, and I'm opening it up with my web browser, and you can see now all of a sudden it's reading that file and it's displaying whatever's in that file. Okay, so my HTML code's not going to show up, but it'll go ahead and format the document as I see fit. Okay, so we created our first web page. All right, let me close this stuff off. Okay, and I'm going to stop right there for today.